Welcome to Flying Upstream. Today we're joined by an incredibly inspiring guest, Marian Straight. Marian is a speaker, business consultant, and the founder of Agency Ignites, a sales and marketing agency helping entrepreneurs and creatives grow their businesses. Marian's journey to entrepreneurship wasn't the typical path. She built her business out of necessity, but now she's passionate about empowering others, especially women, through her photography and coaching. Her unique blend of sales expertise, business knowledge, and passion for helping people is truly inspiring. Today, Marian's going to share her story, how she helps women feel empowered through photography, and the lessons she's learned as an entrepreneur. Marian, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to talk more with you, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it.
Okay, let's get started by talking about your journey into entrepreneurship. So you said you built your business out of necessity. Tell us more about that decision and how it led you to where you are today.
Yes, great question. So I always grew up telling myself I'd never be an entrepreneur, business owner. My dad had his own company, and I saw how much he worked and struggled. So when I finished school, I actually got my undergrad, got my MBA, worked a little bit in between, but ultimately I'm like, I'm gonna be a corporate girly, and I'm ready to like get on that track because I really just wanted stability. I didn't want to have to figure everything out myself, and I just wanted like the good salary, the stable benefits, all that sort of thing. Um, when I was doing that, I was working as a corporate consultant for Allstate and State Farm, so in the insurance industry, and I was working with a lot of men. I was coming in and doing consulting around their businesses, helping their sales and marketing practices, and I was like, shucks, I haven't really gotten my hands dirty with some stuff, and I feel like I needed to be able to add a little bit to the mix and not just come in and be like, well, corporate said you should run your business this way. And so I had been getting into photography, got connected with some people, and decided, you know what, I'm gonna grow this in a little different ways, and then be able to bring some of the things I'm learning back to my agency owners to help them. Obviously, two totally different industries, but let's see if I can kind of add some value to people, to my agency owners that way. And that started growing and working really well. And I was getting more clients and getting busier, working nights and weekends. And then in 2020, I decided to go full time with the photography studio, stepped away from the insurance industry. And then from there, it's been several twists and turns. And now I offer more, I'm back to coaching and consulting also, specifically for women, especially women entrepreneurs and creatives. And it was really cool to be able to create more of the life that I wanted through some twists and turns that I wouldn't have expected.
That's amazing. I love that you kind of ended up in the place that you never thought you would be, but you did it in your own way and really made it work for you. I think that's so beautiful. Now, with your photography studio, you specialize in working with women. Why do you feel it's important to help women feel confident and empowered through photography? And how does that make an impact on them?
Really, really good question. I'm so passionate about this because I feel like as women, we have so many different responsibilities and different hats that we can wear, right? We can be in the workforce, at home, with the families, with kids, really hard charger, career driven. There's so many different things that we can do. But what really matters is how we show up every single day and the intention that we bring in every single thing that we do. Are we bringing our best self? Are we trying to learn and grow and evolve to be 1% better every single day in every single aspect of life? And I myself included, this really came from having so many, like some negative stuff happen on my side, but I realized I needed to be a better person and I needed to see myself in a better way. And one of the first things before you start your fitness journey or your career journey or your family, whatever journey that you're on, you almost have to visualize and see yourself as a different type of person. And maybe there's some doubt about like, I don't know if I can be that person. Is that really me? But ultimately you see the vision for yourself and you start taking the steps to get closer to your goal. And I like to tell the women that I work with, I'm part of that journey for you. I'm helping you see yourself in a different way. And so you can grab onto those feelings of feeling beautiful and empowered and having an amazing experience so that when you have those tougher days, you're like, no, 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 this is the vision that I have for myself. Like, this is where I'm going towards. And then you can live into that.
That's beautiful. I appreciate the mindset shift, which is so hard for many of us because we didn't grow up with that. We were taught to hate our bodies no matter what, your body is not good enough, even if you have a great body, which we all do, it is somehow not pretty enough, not good enough. We should feel bad about it and go spend a lot of money in the cosmetics industry.
Yeah, I
So beautiful that you help people focus on that mindset shift instead of just put on more makeup, hit the gym more, stop eating so many calories. That it's really about shifting yourself first and then everything flows from there.
Yeah. Because then you can show up, you're going to show up as a better person to everybody you come in contact with when you have that shift. Like when you are able to say, okay, who do I ultimately want to be? Then you start taking those steps to be that person. And then you become a more amazing person to be around, whatever that looks like. But it's all about like, okay, what's my intention? What do I really want to accomplish? And photography is such a huge part of that because you have to feel it and then see it. And then sometimes when the two things aren't totally aligned, you got to figure out, how do I get to where I want to be? And part of that can be accomplished through photography.
That's amazing. Now, you've worked with many clients and helped them grow their businesses. And I'm curious to know from your experience, what do you think is one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face today when trying to market their business?
We could take that in a couple different ways for sure. I'll speak from experience. I think for me, I've had to really struggle with authenticity. And again, going back to like intention and who do you want to be? Sometimes we think we have to be a certain way to be a business owner or to be an entrepreneur. And sometimes that's like maybe a very masculine way to present ourselves to the world. Sometimes it can look like a couple different things, but ultimately part of the entrepreneurial journey is digging down deep into like, okay, but who am I? What's my core belief? Why am I even doing this? What's my intention? And how does that purpose and intention help me show up? Because when we can do that, then we're going to be able to connect with our ideal customers. And I think we're so starved for authenticity in this world that when we see it, we can gravitate towards that. And so for me, it was like, I felt like I had to look a certain way or be a certain way. And then it was a journey of like, okay, but how does that work for me? How can I get in touch with who I am actually being? So you have to be authentic, and not be fake, you know?
Yes. And that authenticity piece is so difficult. As you said, we are starved for it. And in my own journey, I was in the corporate world. My whole department was let go. I had only been at this company for about 4 or 5 months. All I could think was, I can't go through this again. I cannot go through the interview process again, find another job, only to be unhappy after 6 months to a year and repeat again and again. I just felt like I could not do that. And I didn't know it at the time, but I look back now and realize that was me telling myself, like, you need to be your authentic self. Working in the corporate space was not for me. It served a purpose for many years. That's great. Now I'm at a point where it's not working for me anymore, but I didn't know how to move forward. I had no skills in being an entrepreneur. I didn't really understand it. I'd had no real world experience other than doing case studies and learning in school, but that's all in theory, right? And I had no role models in my life to help me. So there is a huge challenge that I see not only in myself, but so many of our guests in embracing that authenticity of who you really are and what you're truly passionate about, especially the change you want to make in the world, because it's something that you didn't have growing up or something that you want for your own children, for example. But then reconciling that with the reality of our worlds, which is that it's hard to be an entrepreneur. People are judgmental. It's really scary. We're not taught these skills in school, all the things that come with it. And it's a huge challenge. I'd agree.
And I think too, if you think about, I love what you said about that too, because I do wish like I wish we had sat around the dinner table more and been like, this is business and this is like finances and this is all these. We definitely talked about a lot of stuff as a family. And so I'm not saying that at all, but you start realizing like, oh my gosh, like where am I going to learn all this stuff? And now it's like all dependent on me. But it's such an amazing personal growth journey as you're growing your business too, because you're learning so much more, and you're creating new neural pathways so that you can go and conquer all these different aspects of the business. How do I grow in marketing and in sales and in leadership and in managing a team? So it is really exciting to have that going on.
That's true. That's true. That's how I view it, is that this was my mountain that I couldn't go around. I had to drill through it, and that's what I'm doing.
But then you come out on the other side and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I can do hard things. Like, this is kind of cool. It is empowering in that way.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. Okay, let's switch to Agency Ignites, which is your sales and marketing agency that helps entrepreneurs and creatives find success. What's one thing that you see many small business owners get wrong when it comes to their marketing?
So we talked a little bit about that authenticity already. I think the other thing is being able to speak in different ways to their ideal client and connect with their ideal person in different aspects. I think because the world's moving so fast right now that it's like, how do you stay up with all these trends? How do you deal with, all the different hats that you have to wear and all the different things that you have to manage? And so one of the things that I love to do with my clients is really work on systems and processes and automations. And it's, especially for creatives, it's not like the fun, sexy stuff that's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, I want to do this. It's some of the more like a little bit boring, left brain activities that if you get them locked in, they're going to make your business run more smoothly. Like, I've always said, I'm not a huge numbers person. Like, I don't really love the idea of reports, but like, give me ideas and let me talk to people and I'm good to go. So I've had to really learn to be better with numbers. So I love to help people. Let's get your systems in place. Let's get your automations and your workflows in place so that you can take back some of your time, and then you can use it to do things like connecting with your ideal customers, making sure your marketing is very targeted, things like that.
Yes, I love that, especially because it is something that does take a while to set up in the beginning, but once it's set up, you can move so much faster because you don't have to worry about it as much. And that reminds me of lots of late nights in the beginning when you're trying to figure it out and get it set up, and then you have to go back and adjust it, and it can take a while. And I know that work-life balance is a huge topic for entrepreneurs, especially for women. And you've worked with so many driven entrepreneurs. Do you think the idea of work-life balance is a myth, or can it actually be achieved?
I actually made a YouTube video about this. I think that there's seasons in life. And if we really try to think, and I've been working on this a lot myself, because again, everything is from problems that I've had or different things. Everything's seasonal. So there's different seasons of different activities. For example, my children, when they were a little bit younger, it felt like a very, very busy season. And I felt like in some ways I had to step back from I would have had to do a couple things. I could have hired more help. But for me, I decided I needed to step back in some areas of the business so that it freed up time to focus more on family. Things have shifted as they're getting older. I have more and more time and it's structured a little bit different ways. They obviously still need a lot of attention, but I'm able to focus on the business and do different type of activities. But I've tried to be very, very intentional. Over the last couple years, I've focused, again, like with this idea of seasons, on more physical fitness, because I had felt like that was something that I had missed for a while. I also addressed like different areas that I felt like I was compensating in unhealthy ways for like problems that I had in other areas or stress factors that I had in other areas. So I think I've set intentions and it's been able to be like more balanced, but I really don't think, I do kind of think balance is a myth. We have seasons for growth and forward expansion or retreat or whatever that looks like. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I appreciate your answer and the honesty there, because it is sort of a myth, I think, that if you look at day to day, there's just no way you can spend equal time or energy or even giving your thoughts to work and the rest of your life. It just doesn't exist. Sometimes family needs me and I need to be there. Sometimes I need time for myself and I need to step back from work for a while. And sometimes I am ready to go, stay up late, do my work. I'm in the zone. So I think it's important to realize that you need to look from a zoomed out view, that it's not day to day or even week to week, but over years, even a lifetime of what that balance means.
I was listening to somebody too, when they made the shift, they were growing their business. And when they made the shift to a business that they were going to grow for a short amount of time and then sell it, and then they shifted to like, actually, no, I really enjoy this. I want this to be a family legacy business. So when you had that shift out, like you just said, and they're like, this could take 100 years to grow, but we're going to be passing it on. It looks different now. There's different things that they set into place. So sometimes you really do need to take a step back and think about like, what do I want my life to look like? What does my perfect day look like? Do I enjoy the work that I'm doing? If I don't enjoy it, is it going to pass? Am I going to learn to love it? Or does something need to shift? And when you can create those things and create the life around you, I mean, that's amazing. And that's what I think business ownership and entrepreneurial does. It gives you that freedom coupled with some stress to create that life that you really want.
Absolutely. Now, as an entrepreneur yourself, you've learned a lot of lessons along the way. What would you say is the most valuable lesson that you've learned so far in your journey?
The people that you surround yourself with will be a huge hindrance or a huge help. And I think that goes for every single level that you have, both from your spouse or your partner to your friends, to your business network and your colleagues, to the people that work for you. You need a team surrounding you, and that can both personal and professional. And when you have just the right mix of people, that can shift and look different. Like as you grow in different ways, that circle will potentially shift. But if you have those people around you to support you, it adds so much to the quality of your life. And you're going to get that feedback in different areas that you need. Like, hey, you're doing awesome, or hey, you're messing up. It doesn't have to look like, I think, a big circle. But when I've had setbacks in my life, I've either had people speaking into it and helping pull me through to the other side, or they've been a huge hindrance. And I've really lost some time, energy, and learned lessons along the way too. But it's like, oh man, you messed up on some of your judgment calls on this or that person, and that's not a good thing. So who you surround yourself with makes a huge difference.
That's such great advice there. You've been running your successful business for a while now, and I'm curious to know, how do you continue to challenge yourself and avoid getting too comfortable with where you are?
Haven't had that problem recently. I swear there's been 2024 was like such a weird year in business. And there's been so many times where I'm like, okay, God, this has been more difficult than I expected. Like, what are you trying to teach me? There must be some lesson on the other side of this. So I think I've just been lucky to stay humble. And when something happens, like if I'm getting too big for my britches, like there's something that humbles me. And I was like, oh, I haven't learned that one yet. So I've been kind of lucky in that aspect. I think that kind of comes back to too, if you have that circle around you, you want the person that, inspires you and that you look up to and kind of gives you an idea like, oh, this is what I can accomplish. And then other people that are on the journey alongside with you. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's really great. And I appreciate what you're saying too, which is that it's never really boring. There's always something to keep you on your toes, whether you want it or not. I love that.
And then when you look back too, like there's been times where I'm like, oh, everything's running really smoothly. And then something happened, but maybe not even something crazy. Like I remember one time I thought I had a really good team in place, and I was getting a little bit distracted with some personal stuff that was going on. I did think business was running smoothly. When I finally refocused back on the business and looked at some numbers, saw some things that weren't going so well, I was like, man, I really dropped the ball because I didn't keep my eye on the goal. and the team wasn't doing as well as I thought. And so I needed to make a lot of shifts around that. And that ultimately came back to, oh, you needed to do a better job as a leader. So I guess you need to learn a little bit more leadership. And that's when I say humble. Stuff like that happens. And if you have enough self-reflection to be like, okay, because I'm only in control of the stuff that I can fix on my own side. I'm not in control of other people. I really can, what is fixable on me? I'm not a victim. I can move forward. That's where stuff happens that can really shift and change things.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to jump back to photography for a minute here. I know photography can often be about capturing the essence of a moment or a relationship. So when you're working with clients, how do you make sure that the true essence comes through in your photos? And why is that important for them?
Good point. That's a really, really important thing. I always start with conversations. And because I've been doing this so long, I have a good idea of the right questions to ask so that I can pull out some of those details. Because sometimes I talk to somebody, they're like, I don't really know what my true essence is or what I'm really trying to achieve or anything like that. And that's part of my job as the professional, to be able to ask those questions or sit with those people in those type of feelings to search a little bit more so that I can get down to what it is. And then part of it is the beautiful artistic aspect, because I'm going to take what they said and what they want and what they're trying to accomplish through a session and put my artistic spin on, okay, well, you told me all these things. This is how this is how I'm seeing this. How does that sound? And so we do a lot of work before they even come into the session. And then part of the questions that I ask them are built into how they prepare for the session. So after we've spoken, then they have different things to prepare for their session. So they're thinking through some of those questions too. Okay, what am I trying to accomplish? What am I trying to achieve? What is the end result? What is the end product? And then we create something from there. So it is that artistic journey.
That's so beautiful. We talked about work-life balance a little bit already. I'm curious to know about balancing your different businesses and what that is like for you, how you can manage to stay on top of all of that. Because I do see more and more people creating multiple streams of income, and it can be challenging. So what has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, I do want to preface this by saying I'm very much a shiny object syndrome person. So there's been so many things where I would love to be like, oh, I want to pursue this, I want to pursue that. And would always want to caution people that you really, ideally you focus on one thing and then you really grow it as big as possible. There's been some numbers thrown around from other business consultants and business people, but before you try to like iterate and move into other products. So I do always say, because us like entrepreneurs, we love to chase different things and like, okay, this is hard. So now I'm going to switch to something else. I've been guilty of it too. But for me at this point in time, I have a really good team where I've had to systematize different aspects of each business and be able to pass that on to other people. And that's the only way. So I outsource a lot of things, have an awesome team. I don't take care of every single aspect anymore. Obviously, I have a really good people to help me with that. That's the only way it gets done.
That's great. I know that can be hard because the truth is it's our business and we're the ones who love it the most, and no one can do a better job than we can. So it can be difficult to delegate things that are so important and so critical. So, but it's a necessary step for sure. For sure. Yeah. Well, I'm sad to say that we are nearing the end of our time together, and we have one last question for you. For those listeners who are just getting started and are feeling stuck or overwhelmed, what would be the first step you recommend they take to find clarity and begin building the business of their dreams?
I would always recommend some internal reflection and journaling and thinking about what's your purpose and your intention. I think that there's just really sitting down and thinking through that and giving the space and time to process that, and then let it sit for a little bit and revisit it and see what pops out at you. If you do have a good group of people, and when I say good group, I mean people that aren't going to say, oh, that's not achievable, or oh, maybe you should just dream smaller, like that's too much. Like any sort of doubt stuff, don't talk to those type of people, because they're putting their own stuff on you. But if you have some people that you trust in different ways, I'd be open to getting a little bit of their feedback, or if they have experience and they've probably gone through it themselves, because I think we all have had that that self-doubt creep in. And then just get started, one foot in front of the other. Just take action, even if it's messy action. Some action is better than nothing at all. And that is going to really set you up for success, because as you start getting some wins and moving forward, then that's going to help you take the next step and feel more empowered to keep going from there.
Beautiful advice. Thank you. You're reminding me to the first time I ever posted on Instagram. I thought I was going to faint. I was so scared. And now I look back and I realize it's really not a big deal. Probably nobody saw it anyway. I think I don't even know if I had any followers at the time. So funny to look back. But yes, it can feel paralyzing. So I like what you're saying about just do something, just anything. You'll learn, you'll iterate, you'll change, but taking some steps forward is the most important thing.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Marian, you have shared such powerful insights today, from building the business to empowering women through your photography, and not to mention your sales expertise. I know our listeners will walk away with so much inspiration and actionable advice. Thank you for being so open and sharing your incredible journey with us. Before we wrap up, I want to remind everyone, it's not about wanting or waiting for the perfect moment to start. It's about taking that first step, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Marian's story is proof of that. If you're ready to take the next step in your entrepreneurial journey, whether it's in business or in life, remember, it all starts with a decision to take action. You can learn more about Marian and her work by visiting her website, and I encourage you to connect with her on social media for more inspiration. Thank you again, Marian, for joining us today. And to our amazing free spirits out there, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who could use a little extra inspiration today. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, keep striving to be the best version of yourself, and keep flying upstream.